Hello. Hello everybody, welcome. Happy Sunday everyone. I'm having a good day. I hope you guys are having a good day as well. Look what I have today. I have a special thing today. Because I felt like I want to dedicate my streams to different writers who I like, right? So every single day, or at least most days, I'm going to have a writer of today reveal. Every day the stream will be dedicated to a different writer from history or from the present even. And I will reveal who that is in 10 minutes. So I think that'd be really nice. Because I think it's nice to kind of like have people in history or in the present day who are good at what we love to do. We love to write, so people who are good at what we love to do here. And I think it's a great thing to share people who we really look up to and to celebrate them for their accomplishments. And that's what I want to do here today. So we'll have more in the future. We'll have, we'll celebrate our streams. We'll have different writers come on and we'll celebrate who they are, what they've done, and what they've contributed to literature and to creative writing. And there will all be people who were inspired from. So today I've chosen someone who inspires me in my creative writing quite a lot. So you may have heard of them before. They're quite famous, so not too weird. But that will be the reveal. And God, it is beautiful today outside. Still can't go outside because of lockdown, but it is beautiful. I don't know if you guys are in lockdown or not, but those of you who aren't in lockdown, I will say this because just appreciate it, because we were not in lockdown and we kind of forgot what it's like to be in lockdown, and now we've been in lockdown for the past week, I think, just a week, but it feels like 2 weeks. It really does. 1 week feels like 2. So for those of you who aren't in lockdown, I think you gotta appreciate it for what it is. You gotta appreciate that you guys can have that freedom, because we just didn't know how lucky we had it here. But there are plus sides to everything. And with lockdown, I've had a lot of time to stay at home and do some study. Been doing better in my assignments. It's like positives to anything, If you break your leg, so you can't run around, but at the same time maybe you read a lot of books, or maybe you finish that Netflix show, or maybe you play some video games. You can treat yourself in other ways. It doesn't always have to be productive. Sometimes self-care is important too. Do you guys ever just come home from a big day and just log on to your favorite game or watch the television? It's that way of helping you ease into just that nice feeling of doing nothing. Or sometimes you come home from work and you get into a good book, or you watch a documentary, or you maybe do some writing. There's different ways to celebrate the day. I think that's really cool. I think that's really important, actually, to celebrate the day in different ways. And there's also another thing, is that so the other day I was on my balcony and we found this absolutely incredible sight. I would maybe I can show you a picture. I don't have a picture on me, but there was this beautiful jet stream coming out from on the horizon. It looked like a rocket or something flying overhead. And it was magnificent. It was a huge jet stream. And when we flew overhead, it was a plane. It was just this plane going extremely quick, and because the conditions for flying were absolutely pitch perfect, and the air I think was cold, and I think the plane engine was really hot, so because of that, the jet stream behind the plane seemed to be massive. It was huge. It looked like a rocket flying. I'd never seen that before in my life. It was incredible. You guys must have seen that, right, before? Like, if any of you live in Belgium, I flew over Belgium one time on a plane on the way to Finland. Flew over Belgium, and I look out the window and there's planes everywhere. It was the most, I'd never seen so many planes in the sky. It was beautiful. You guys must know this if you live in European country, or maybe even America. Maybe they have it like that. But there were planes everywhere. And I don't know, just in Australia we have planes, but I don't think we have as many connection flights or even like just other pilots. So like when you're on a plane, you look out the window and you don't really see other planes. You can, but not often. But one thing you know what's really special about flying over Australia? If any of you have seen this, you come in from the north and you go down south, they always fly through the middle of the country. And you look out the window, and if you're lucky, you'll get the sunrise over the desert, and it's just the most spectacular thing you've never seen, because there's no clouds, it's just the sky and the ground, and it's flat like paper, like as far as you can see, and it's red, blue, black, yellow. It is fantastic, it's beautiful, amazing. Well, we are currently 4 minutes away from our Writer of the Day review. And I'm gonna, at the end of stream, I'm going to read some of their writing. I have a book. I have their books on my shelf. If you know me, you can probably guess who it is. Actually, I don't think I've mentioned who my favorite writer is, actually. Have I? No, I haven't. But I've got a video coming out about it. Stay tuned for that. I'm excited to share that with you guys. Really, I can't wait. But there has to be written. I'm still writing it. I'm still writing a script, and I still haven't even made the video yet. I've never really made videos before. My strength is not in video making. My strength is in writing. Yeah, I know some people who are fantastic editors. They even do YouTube, some of them. But you know, my strength is not in video making, as far as I know. It's just in writing, doing some awesome writing. I love to write stories, plays. I tried to write a play. I think this is pretty common. When you're a high school student, you should try to write your own play, right? Playwright. Do you guys ever try to write your own plays? You know, you sit down and you think like, oh, I can make a musical, I can make a play. But because I thought I could make a play before. I tried to make one about Irish history. Like, so I wanted to, I didn't think that my school talked about Irish history ever. And to me, you know, it's really important to me because that's where I come from. So I wanted to try to write a play about Irish history to share with my class, right? But it never did go ahead. I never did get that script finished. I think the reason I didn't get it finished is because I think I succumbed to the worry or the prospect that this would never happen, that this play would never get written, and that I would never get accepted by the principal or by the teacher to have it shown on stage. I just thought that would happen. Maybe it would have happened, but you know, maybe I should have just finished the script and gone through with it, but I didn't get to that stage. It doesn't matter. I lost the script, I threw it out somewhere. It doesn't matter. That's alright, you know, yeah, that's alright. You write something, it doesn't work out, you throw it away. It's good though. It's good to keep what you've written, because then you can look back on it. We all have diaries, we all have pieces of writing from when we were in high school that we wrote, and we look back on it and we look at them like, oh, that's cringe, why did we write that, why did I think that? But you know, that's okay, because it's important to have those places to look back on. Okay, I've just updated the stream. I don't like to stream in Let's Do the Writing, because nobody ever watches me there. People always watch me in the other writing channel, which is Writers. That's where all the writers go. But nobody ever goes to Let's Do the Writing. So I wanted to change that. Like if I go to Let's Do the Writing now, okay, writing review in half a minute. If I go to Let's Do the Writing now, there was only one other person, the Chill Quill, and I never seen them online before. But if I go to Writers, where I'm currently switched to, there are probably more people, right? Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 other people online. There's even a Korean dude online. I thought a Korean dude. Is he a writer? I'm interested. I'm actually kind of interested in that. Oh, but the time is up. Alright. Guys, the writer reveal of today is James Joyce. James Joyce, Dubliner, writer from Ireland. Now, James Joyce is a huge influence on my life. Huge. I bought most of his books. Not all of them. Still have to get them. But I want them. There's only, out of everything he's written, there was one book I haven't gotten. But I own the others. And I have 2 copies of Ulysses on my shelf. Because James Joyce, I have to say, he saved my writing, my own writing. He saved my writing. He helped me realize that I can be creative in writing. I went through a period in my life where I didn't write, but I just didn't do it because I thought it was boring. I thought it was too hard. But then I did start to get interested in it again. I don't know what sparked it, but I got interested in writing again, and I tried it. And when you give up something and you go back to doing it again, you give up on something, you go back to doing it. That is, you're bound not to be as good at it. And that's exactly what I found, was that I hadn't done writing in a long time, and when I went back to do it again, I just wasn't good at it. My writing was a bit robotic and analytical. It was very structured. It was like very scientific. There was very medical. There was no joy. There was no creativity. It was pretty crap, and it was pretty crappy. So I started to get into like a little bit of a stump with my writing, you could say. I wasn't writing the way I wanted to. I was struggling to find my inner creativity. But then I decided that, well, good writers are good readers, and I wasn't a good reader. I kind of gave up on reading for a few years. So I was trying to get back into reading, but I think at this time, the biggest problem for me was that I was into games, video games. And I think I just played video games way too much, and that was all I enjoyed in life at the time. I didn't do anything else except for gaming. That was all I did. So I think that getting into reading was a very slow and difficult process, painful at times. I did manage to do it, but I guess I wasn't really having fun. And then I learnt about I had this moment where I went to Ireland again after moving to Australia. I went back to Ireland, and I found a restaurant, just an Italian restaurant, and on the walls were all these it was like art, like word art, but there were sentences, paragraphs, and phrases and quotes. And I just was going around. I was walking around the restaurant, on the way to the bathroom, walking around the restaurant, and there was these lines on the walls were following me everywhere. Even in the bathroom, there were some lines in there. There were some sentences on the walls in the bathroom, and I was reading them. And I went back to, I think I asked the waitress, because I asked my parents, I said, what are these quotes and what lines on the word? And I don't think they knew, so then I asked the waitress, and she said, oh, that's James Joyce. I was like, what? Who's James Joyce? I didn't know. So I googled him, and I found his works. And I was reading some of his works, and if you've ever read James Joyce, you know exactly what I mean. But Joyce writes in very unconventional ways. the way he plays around with language. He doesn't follow the rules of English language. He breaks the words. He mixes words together. He creates new words. He doesn't follow the rules, and yet he creates incredible pieces of literature that are incredibly fluid and very easy to visualize in your head. And you can hear all the sounds. You can see the colors. You can really connect with the world. But this for me, this kind of influenced a new side of me, and I think also maybe the appeal of the early 1900s, because Joyce was a modernist writer. He was living during the 19 he was living during World War One. I think he died in 1920 something. I think maybe older than that, maybe 1930s. I think he might have died after World War Two, before World War Two. I can't really remember. In fact, I'm gonna Google it. When did Joyce die? When did Joyce die? 1941. Okay. He lived in Switzerland because Switzerland was a neutral country during World War II, and it was safe. But he lived there. He spent most of his life. The funny thing was that he's an Irish writer because he wrote about Ireland, but he spent most of his life outside of Ireland. So that's kind of funny. But I feel kind of like, I guess I felt connection with him because he was an Irish person from Dublin, from the same city as me, who left his country to live abroad, and he also wrote about his home country while he was away from it. I think that really inspired me, or I think I really found him special because I felt like I could relate to him that way. I was in a similar situation. I was in a not similar situation, but I was the same kind of circumstance. I was a native Irish from Dublin, moved away to live in a faraway place, and I think that kind of that was nice to have that relation. I got a picture. I went back to Ireland, and there's a park in Ireland called There's a little park, and this is a park where James Joyce used to spend a lot of his time just walking around. He walked through the park. He would intentionally walk through the park while he lived in Dublin. If there was a shortcut, he wouldn't take it. He would go through the park because he wanted to be there. That was where he liked being. And I have a picture of this park. Let me just bring it up for you. But while I'm bringing it up, I would say that because my creativity in my writing was really bad. I was just writing. I wanted to be a writer, but I was just writing words. I didn't have any creativity. The story was pretty bad. And I needed this inspiration. So that's why when I found Joyce, I really latched onto it. His writing as well. I was reading it, most of it, because my reading wasn't very good. So I was kind of just looking at the words on the page and getting excited about it, because this was something new. I hadn't seen a writer done this before, and I hadn't felt intrigued by a writing style as much as I had by Joyce's. And I have a picture of Joyce here now to show you that I took on my phone. When I was in Ireland, I took this picture. And I will get this picture up. 1 second, please. It's a bust of Joyce. Here it is. Oh, it's huge. Why is this photo so big? I don't like this song. I'm not a fan of rap. I just don't like rap. I mean, some rap's good, but I don't like this one. It's annoying. Alright, I've changed it. I really want to change my music. I really want to get... Do you guys ever listen to like jazz? Because this is lo-fi hip-hop jazz, that's cool, but it's not actual jazz. Actual jazz is what I like to listen to. How do I rotate an image? Boomer moment. How do I rotate an image? How do I? Anyway, I don't know how to rotate an image, so this is an absolute boomer moment. By Jesus. Can I not rotate the image? Oh my god. Oh my god. How? How? Oh, hold on. Clockwise. There we go. Here is the man himself, James Aloysius Joyce. There he is. There's me. There's my slideshow. There's the name of the hero, James Joyce. Actually, do I want to do the reading now of James Joyce since I have all the imagery up here? I think that's a better idea. I think I'll save it to the end of stream. But I think I'll save it to the end of stream. But Joyce is very special to me, and I will read some Joyce letters. So stay tuned for that. By the end of the stream, I'm gonna read a chapter from Joyce's book Ulysses, which is probably his most famous work. So stay tuned for that. But for now, guys, I'm gonna do some writing. So let me get that up. I'm gonna go back to doing my novel because you know a great novel does not write itself. So I need to chip away at it every day, every single day. Did you ever try to write a novel? Did you ever meet anyone who does novel writing? I haven't really met anyone like that yet. However, I'll keep my picture of Joyce in the corner. Yep. Move my slideshow up here. Legend. Yep. There's James Joyce. I'm just going to continue then from where I left off. And no, for those of you wondering, Joyce did not write noir. He was not a noir writing writer. But he was a socialist. Alright guys, I'm gonna get back to doing what I always love to do, and that is my writing. If you want, I've got a cup of water here with me today, no coffee. We're going healthy choices today. Let's see how long I can go without a coffee. That's an idea. because coffee is not great for you, right? It's not great for your body. It does give you that energy you need, and it gives you the push to keep going. But I drink a lot of coffee. You need to drink water sometimes. So I want to promote good, healthy drinking water with a glass of water. Alright, we need water in our lives, guys. Don't neglect water. So often we forget to drink so much. Forget to drink water enough. Right. Wait for me to get my timer on the screen. Okay, guys, and we're gonna get started now.
on a silent sea. Na na, I'm floating. Na na, on a silent sea. Na na, I'm floating. Na na, on a silent sea. Na na, I'm floating. Na na, I'm floating on a silent sea.
Hello, Ron Weasley. Ron Weasley, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. How's your day going? I like that name. Is that Harry Potter reference? I watched the first Harry Potter movie for the first time, maybe a month ago. I had never watched the Harry Potter series until a month ago. I am an old man now. I'm not an old man. That was a joke. You're meh? Why meh? I hope that you can come to my stream and you can relax, because we're doing a little bit of writing. A little bit of writing, as always. This is what we always like to do on the channel. And thank you for following. Welcome to the family, the Noir family. I'm sorry about that, but we all have something. We all gotta get through it. Depression, yeah, that's not a good one to have. It's good to talk about it though. I hope. Can I tell you a cool thing? Is that I was once very young teenager with depression, and I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to write. But but then this beautiful man right here, Joyce, came into my life, and I found some calling. We love a good massacre. Yes. Have you seen Game of Thrones by chance? You might have enjoyed a certain scene in there without spoiling too much. Sometimes I do a bit of okay. There was a lot of that in Game of Thrones. I highly recommend. I enjoy Game of Thrones a little bit. My stories they're a little bit violent. You can see I've included a little bit of a beating up scene here, where the two characters get into a fight. And yes, it is fun to write. It is fun to write violence. It's exciting, and it's just as exciting to read, especially when it's with characters that you like. That's fair enough. I mean, that's fair enough. Look, sometimes you gotta watch happy things too. Yesterday on stream, I showed a video about ibises. Do you know what an ibis is? We have ibises in Australia, where I come from, and they're just like bin chickens. Let me show you. Do I have a picture of it? Oh, I think I got rid of the picture. Let me get back. I want to show you what an ibis is. Wait, you might, if you're from Australia, you will know what an ibis is. But they're just these really gross looking birds. I don't know. I've never seen them anywhere else except to Australia. Why are they gross? I'll show you. These things live in my city. I'm going to... And just tell me, when you look at this bird, do you think it's cute or do you think it's disgusting? What do you think of this thing? Just look at it. I mean, this is an ibis. Cute. He's a cute boy. Yeah, you know what? They are kind of cute. But they are also gross because they spend their times in bins. They drink bin juice. They eat rubbish, and they will ruin your picnic. If you ever go for a picnic, these things will come near you and pretty much like a dog. They'll sit next to you and they'll beg you for food. But that's just part of our life here. The funny thing is, these guys are revered in ancient Egypt as gods, but in the city I come from, they're just annoying pests. But we tolerate them, you know, they just hang around the city, they chill. Kind of like hang around in gangs, drink out of fountains, and crap all over the seats. I almost got crapped on by one of these things. I was sitting on a bench underneath a tree, and I get up, and 1 second after I get up, this huge drip of white bird crap falls on the seat directly where I was sitting. If I had sat there for 1 second longer, I would have gotten splashed. That's just what happens. But you put up with it. You put up with it. Yes. I don't know what kind of birds. What kind of birds do you have in your city? Pigeons, crows, doves. We have ibises. They're really cute. They are cute. You know what? Just for you, One Weasley, I'm going to leave a picture of an ibis on screen in dedication to my latest follower. And I'm going to bring a picture on screen here right now for you. Hold on. This is for you. It's going to be a nice picture, don't worry. Or maybe I'll do one nice picture and one not so nice picture. I'll do a picture of them in the city and one picture of it in nature. Just to show. Just to show. Your town is called Hell. Is your neighbor the devil? I'm kidding. Yeah, you probably get that one a lot, right? Well, just give me a second. I'm gonna put these on stream for you. But why is your town called Hell? Is it English? Is the name English? Sunrise Views, welcome back. Thanks for joining in. You were here yesterday, and you're back again today, and this always is good. And oh my god, I lost the. Did I just lose the? Oh my god, I lost everything. The timer is reset, isn't it? Oh jeez. Oh no. Okay, I think we're about half an hour, so that's okay. Guys, we're gonna go for another half an hour at writing, but we lost the timer. So I'm gonna have to put another ibis on stream. For you guys. Guys, say hello. Say hello to Ron Weasley, everyone. He's new here. They're new here. They're new here, and they're going to get the ibis treatment, because we're gonna put an ibis on screen for them. But you have to know that my computer skills are very, very slow. But make them feel welcome. Oh Jesus, what the hell? What is happening? Did you guys ever do the Harry Potter house quiz? Because I did the Harry Potter house quiz. I have to start again, exactly, to do it all over again. You know what, that's okay, because sometimes you just keep going from where you left off. Sometimes you keep going from where you left off. Now, will this add me the ibis image? You're Ravenclaw. I'm Ravenclaw too. Dude, high five, we're Ravenclaw. So anyone who isn't Ravenclaw, you can just leave the stream. That's fine. I am Ravenclaw. And you come from the States. I come from the States too, but the Australian States, not the American ones. So you're from the US States, is that correct? The only States, the best States. But imagine a world where the States were Harry Potter houses. And every state was just like... and every state was a different Harry Potter house. But I think the reason that I'm Slytherin... sorry, I'm not Slytherin, I'm Ravenclaw. I got them mixed up because I was reading Mimi's texts, the enemy. To each their own, exactly. Slytherin's our enemy, right? Because I only watched the first Harry Potter movie. So our enemy is Slytherin. But we come from the United States of Hogwarts. We are Slytherin, Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, and Hufflepuff. The United States of Slytherin. But my favorite character, I have to think. My favorite character from Harry Potter? Snape. 100% Snape. Because in the first film, he turns out you think he's the villain. I really like how it was written, because you think that Snape is the villain, but it turns out Oh, I shouldn't spoil it, right? Now, it turns out that Snape is not the villain. I think you guys knew that already. I'm not spoiling it. When did this movie come out? 2001. I don't think I'm spoiling it. You guys should have seen it. It's been 20 years. He dies. Oh, why'd you spoil it for me? I didn't get this far. No, I think I already knew. I think Dumbledore dies too, right? Because like I never saw Harry Potter movies, just the first one. I've already said that, but Dumbledore dies, which is a shame. Didn't want me sad. I'm not sad. I'm just slow. That's all. I should have gotten in faster. But you know what? I'll spoil a movie for you, just in return, okay? In the end of Titanic, and not a lot of people know this, but the ship, it actually sinks. Spoilers. That's my favorite spoiler. I love ruining Titanic for everyone. Arsek. What? Arsek. Arsek. I'm sorry, you should have seen the movie when it came out. It's alright, you could spoil Harry Potter for me, that's fun. Tell me Voldemort ends up being a time traveler or something. I don't know. You ever hear the phrase "kill your darlings"? Kill your darlings is what they say to writers who, if you make something beautiful, you should, if you make something really happy with, if it doesn't fit into the script, you should remove it. Because even if it's your favorite piece of writing, it just doesn't work with the rest of the story. They say that kill your darlings. Book 3, time travel. That's pretty like warped, I'd say. Book 3 has time travel in it. There was a book I read about time travel. Did you ever read a story called Invictus? Did you ever see this one? It was just completely about time travel. And share with me any books that you've read that you really like. But this was one that I read that I really liked. And I can try find a cover. I can try find the cover for you. It's called Invictus by Ryan Gordon. You never read Invictus? Well, it's kind of like a sci-fi novel for young adults or teens. But essentially, it's about these kids. It's about these kids who go back in time to steal or to recover lost artifacts from history. So they go back to the time of the Titanic, and there's a book on there. That's alright, Ron. Thanks for dropping by. I hope you have a good time zone. I don't know what time it is in America there, but whatever time it is, I hope things go well for you, mate. And I won't be on tomorrow, but I'll be on Tuesday. So thanks for joining us. Have a good time. Have a good day. But I put Invictus on the screen. This was a book that I read before that I really liked. But you know what? The funny thing is, even though I really liked it, I didn't finish it. Do you guys ever have that feeling when you read a book and you really like it, but you don't finish it for some reason? It's kind of sad, maybe. In this song that's playing right now, this is my favorite song from the playlist that I have. Okay. You see this? This is Invictus. It's a book that I read. And yeah, it's just good. I'm gonna put there we go. Invictus by Warren Grodin. I just enjoyed it. That's all I wanted to say. Bring back Joyce. start over again. Or sunrise, I probably gotta start my writing again. I think I'll keep writing until the turn, or until 11. So I got 5 more minutes. And then, actually no, maybe I'll write longer than that. I've still got another hour on stream. It's a lot. There's a lot of things I can do with you guys. This song that's playing right now is called Magnitude by Mazco. Magnitude by Mazco. There you go. Magnitude by Mazco. I use a free streaming music service called ChillHop, and it gets me some kind of jazzy, relaxing jazzy beats. This is the kind of music I like to listen to. This music when I write. Although the kind of music I would like to get in the future is more jazzy, kind of deeper jazz, because it kind of fits the noir style. You know, the 1950s darker detective noir stuff. Anytime. If you like the music, I can send. I'll put a link in the. I'll put a link now in the chat for ChillHop. You can find this music and you can use it. There's also a link in my description that you can have a look in my description for the link, but that's where you can find the music. All of the music I use in my stream comes from here. Most of it is this kind of style of like chill hip hop beats and lo-fi hip hop. But I'm glad you like it. Okay, well I've reached the half an hour mark, so I've got about 30 more minutes of writing. And then I'm going to finish with some reading. I'm going to do a reading from James Joyce. He's a writer of the day. In fact, let me include that. So our writer of the day is James Joyce. And every day there'll be a different writer. There you go. Just so people know exactly. Just so people know exactly what they're coming into when they join. The writer of the day is James Joyce. My favorite James Joyce book, I would say Finnegan's Wake. It's the only book that I do not have on my shelf at home, but it's my favorite James Joyce book. And the reason I like it is it's not so much the narrative that I enjoy about it. What I enjoy about it is the style and the use of language. Because Joyce is very famous, he's a modernist writer. Modernist writers are very famous for breaking the conventional and traditional forms of art. So what Joyce has done in his novel Finnegan's Wake, which was his final novel, was he completely breaks the English language, but he still manages to create a story out of it. And when you read it, it's like reading someone's mind, essentially. If you could put on a special cat and you could read someone else's mind, this is what you would hear. And you can hear it, like as you read it, you hear the story in your head. You can hear the words, and it starts to make sense. That's what I like about Finnegan's Wake. Have you ever read James Joyce, Sunrise? Do you know anything about his style? Have you ever tried reading Ulysses or Dubliners before? I do recommend it if you can get a copy of Ulysses, or if you have one at home. I recommend having a read. Okay, yeah, I've got to go about half an hour more writing, and then I'm going to get into my reading of James Joyce, the writer of the day. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be reading some Ulysses. Could get someone else to read Joyce because I suggested it to them. That's huge. If you do, come back and tell me how you think of it, and I hope you can enjoy it. But it's not for everyone. But I think everyone should try, at least. a interesting story that I discovered Joyce's novels. I went to there was a restaurant in Ireland, and on the walls were some text. This was like an Italian restaurant in Dublin City, and on the walls were text. And the text was warping around the wallpaper, all over even in the bathrooms there was this text, just like sentences, phrases, and quotes. And I was reading them everywhere I went. I was walking around this restaurant, reading these lines on the wall, and I asked the waitress if she knew what it was, and she said, "Yes, this is James Joyce." Yeah, it's just James Joyce. I had never heard of this person before. I don't think. So I went and I googled him. I found out that he was a writer, and he had written books, and he was from Dublin. And I think I related to that because he was an Irish person who left Ireland and was a writer. And I was like, this guy's me. Well, he's not me. He's very different from me. He's a lot more outgoing and partying kind of guy. He liked to go to clubs and parties. But I think I really latched onto his story, and I kind of used it. I'm using it. I still use it as kind of to show me that a direction that I could head in if I keep going my writing. I could do something similar. That's how I discovered Joyce, was in a restaurant. I met him in a restaurant. What else? I remember, like, I used to, during lunchtime at school, I would go straight to the library. I'd have my lunch and I'd go straight to the library, and I'd sit down and spend the half an hour that I had for lunch with a book in my lap and just reading. Because I wanted to spend this time with Joyce. I even tried to replicate his style in my assignments in university as well. And I've done a few studies on him for my essays and my assessment. But yeah, that's the reason I wanted to do Writer of the Day, and I decided that Joyce would be the natural first choice for me. That's okay. Thanks for asking. I love sharing my stories. Storytelling is important, and I like to share it. And how did you discover Joyce, Sunrise Views? Did you discover? Did you read his work before? You said you haven't read his work before, right? So how did you discover Joyce? I taught you today. Hey, there you go. Well, I really want to do. I like to consider myself an educational channel. I like to talk about new things, and the funny thing is, you guys on chat, you always teach me things every day. Whether that's about yourself or about things that you're interested in, or even like new books. And I like that. I like that it's like a mutual learning experience that you don't get from doing YouTube videos, but you get it from Twitch chat, because Twitch is live. It's it's better. I prefer it. Yeah, I think so. I think Twitch is Twitch is fun. I like YouTube. I use YouTube a lot in my spare time though, but Twitch is a lot of fun. I think most people like to use YouTube. The cool thing about Twitch is that there's a difference, right? There's a difference. Maybe you guys don't know this. There's a difference in Twitch. Is that on YouTube, your videos get recommended videos based on like key terms in the titles and in the descriptions. But on Twitch, it's a lot more difficult for people to find you because it's based on like popularity contest. People will find you if you have published, only if you're getting a big amount of viewers. That's how people will find you. If you're not getting if you're getting less viewers than say imagine if there were 100 writers in, I should take, because there's categories, right? Whenever you do a Twitch stream, you have to join a certain category, and that can be the game you're playing or what you're talking about or what you're streaming. So I always join the writing category. There's a few small writing categories, but the biggest one is one called writers, which is the one that I'm in now, because I have the highest chance of discoverability. And the thing is, if right now I'm the second biggest streamer right now on writers, out of 4 in total. So myself, another person called Travis Tavern Talk, Satoru, and Tessa. There's 4 writers right now online in this category. I'm second, but they rank it in order of who has the most views. So the biggest streamer right now is Travis Tavern Talk, and he has got 8 people watching. And I'm second with 3. So the way they rank it is like, if you have more viewers, you're going to be at the top of the list. So you can imagine if people streaming like Minecraft or Fortnite or big games like that, you know, if you're a new streamer, it's a lot harder to get discovered because you might only have 1 or 2 viewers, or it could be like your second Twitch account, you put it on view, or it could be your friends or your family watching. But it's still not enough because there are people on Fortnite with like 10,000 viewers. So the people with like 1 or 2 or even less than 10 are all pushed to the very bottom, and everyone streams Fortnite. So it's almost impossible to find your channel. But I guess what I like about writing is that there's not a lot of people watching, but there are. And at the same time, there's not a lot of people on writing who stream. So your chances of being discovered and growing as a channel are a lot higher than if you were streaming some big popular game like Fortnite or Minecraft. I want to grow as a channel. I think that's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it so far, and I would like to get bigger. But so what I'm doing is actually good because it's a lot easier for people to find me. And if there are some writing channels on here with, you get like 100 viewers at a time, and that's pretty big because if a writing channel can get 100 viewers, what's stopping them from getting 1,000 viewers? And if they get 1,000 viewers, they can make the front page of Twitch, and that means that suddenly there'll be this writing channel with 1,000 viewers, and everyone's like, oh, I didn't know people wrote on Twitch, and then everyone will want to do writing. I think that's my goal. That's one of my goals on Twitch is to make writing this big thing on Twitch, to try and create a new outlet for people to enjoy something different, something new. Last year we saw a huge surge in people doing Twitch streams about chess. I don't think chess was ever popular on Twitch or on YouTube, but because of people just doing chess because that's what they love doing, they elevated it to this high status, and it trended and it became extremely popular last year, and even still this year. So it's possible. But yeah, there's a lot of potential. But there's also a lot of potential. It's kind of like writing. You know, there are some genres that everyone writes. Like everyone writes. Like the most popular genre in Australia right now is crime fiction, and that's because that's what publishers want to sell, because that's what people want to read. But because people want to read it, and because that's what publishers wish to sell, there are so many writers who write crime fiction and who write mystery novels because that's what they just know. You know, maybe they don't necessarily want to, but they know that people enjoy it, and that's how they'll become very popular. So they write crime novels, and we get an oversaturated market. Like fantasy, there's so much fantasy out there, but it's so oversaturated that if you're a small writer, if you publish something, it might not be easy for you to get discovered just because there's so much of it out there. And there's so many good ones, or there's so many very highly promoted ones that the publishing industry says, hey, buy this book. This book won bestseller. It was an award-winning book. And then the person who just wrote a book for 10 years publishes it on like Amazon Prime, and they get nothing. That's just the reality. You have to, because there's so many people writing. So if you try to write something different and it catches on, you've struck oil, essentially. And I think that's what James Joyce did. He wrote something very different, and people did catch on to it. It's similar to noir. The first noir books, they were brand new they were brand new on the scene, and they caught on, and they caught like fire. People loved it, and that's why we still remember it to this day. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get myself some water. I think I'll do... trying to think about how to break it up. I've got about 10 minutes left until... I've got about 10 minutes left. I've got about 40 minutes left on stream. Then I have to go do other things. So I'm thinking about how I want to break this up. I'm gonna do... 10 minutes of writing. I'm gonna write until 12:30. 10 more minutes, and then I will spend the rest of the time why is my charger not coming on? Yep, and then I'll spend the rest of the time reading some Ulysses, just a short Ulysses, and then I think that'll be enough for today, because I really have to get going after this. Now that we reached 30 minutes, I mean half past the hour, but I want to go for another 3 minutes just to get this last idea done. And then I'll move on to the next task, I promise. So Okay, I'm back. I know I said 3 minutes, but I did have something in the house that required my attention. So I was away for about 5 extra minutes. So, but I'm back now, and I think it's a great time to read some Joyce. So I'm gonna put my writing away. I'm gonna close this bad boy and save it. It wasn't bad today, not bad. Could have been better. My writing could have been better. I didn't do as much as I expected, but that's okay. Next time will be better. Now the thing I want to do today is this is James Joyce Day. for our stream. It's James Joyce Day, so I want to. Something smells weird. I want to make Joyce bigger, yeah. while I read, I will turn off my music because I don't want it to distract from the flow of James Joyce. I'm gonna have to hide Ibis. I know, I'll keep it on screen for Ron Weasley. Ibis is there. But we're gonna do Joyce Central now. And I'll just put a little message on screen so people know that I'm reading Joyce. So they're not completely confused if they join the stream halfway through and I'm just reading something. So I'm actually gonna read. I'm not gonna read a Ulysses chapter because it's just way too long. I'm actually gonna read a short story from Joyce from Dubliners. Please bear with me, I'm going to put it on page. Oops. One second. Alright. It's not very clear, but I can't do anything else. Alright, my screen looks like a mess. Let me fix it up. And then I'll get right into the reading. Alright. So frustrating because I have to move all these pieces around all the time. It's really tricky. I'm not very good at it, but we got it. I think that will suffice. Alright, music off. Let's get serious. Let's do some reading. I'm gonna get my book. And we're gonna relax. We're gonna do some Joyce reading. I'm going to read for you a story from Ulysses. From Dubliners, which is a book that is a collection of short stories by James Joyce, and just read it gently. So let me get my book. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and I'm excited to read James Joyce. I should have to say, I will say that James Joyce is not particularly family friendly at times. So if you do have small children around, or if you are not old enough, or if you're just not confident with non-family friendly material, I would recommend leaving this. You can quit the stream, that's okay. You can or you can mute the stream if you want to stay here. That's perfectly fine. I won't be upset. I won't mind. I understand not everyone wants to hear that kind of stuff, but Just saying, there could be some stuff in here that is a bit adult or real, but because you have to remember that Joyce was very much on Earth, very on Earth person. He kind of wrote similar to how noir is told, where it's like the kind of the truth of the American streets. James Joyce writes. He doesn't write glamorously. What's so good about James Joyce is that he takes the average day person who's not special, not unique, and he tells a story through them. Because he shows that even in people who are insignificant or very unimportant in other stories, even those people have so much going on in their heads, in their lives, and he kind of heroicizes or he presents the everyday person, the average Joe, in the light of the hero. So this is our first story. This is called A Painful Case. I have not read this one, so it's going to be a first time reading this for me as well. It could be a first time for you listening, but if you've read A Painful Case, maybe you can help along. If you haven't read it, let's go on this journey together. So I'll read this on stream, and then it's only a short story, probably going to take about 5 minutes. I'll read it on stream, and then I'll probably think about ending the stream. Alright, you ready? A Painful Case by James Joyce. Mr. James Duffy lived in Chaplersod because he wished to live as far from possible as the city of which he was a citizen, because he found all of the other suburbs of Dublin mean, modern, and pretentious. He lived in an old, sombre house, and from his windows he could look into the disused distillery or upwards along the shallow river on which Dublin was built. The lofty walls of his uncarpeted room were free from pictures. He himself had bought every article of furniture in the room: a black iron bedstead, an iron washstand, 4 cane chairs, a clothes rack, a coal scuttle, a fender, and irons, and a square table on which lay a double desk. A bookcase had been made in an alcove by the means of shelves of white wood. The bed was clothed with white bedclothes, and a black and scarlet rug covered the foot. A little hand mirror hung above the washstand, and during the day a white shaded lamp stood as the sole ornament on the mantelpiece. The books on the white wooden shelves were arranged from bellow upwards according to bulk. A complete Wordsworth stood at one end of the lowest shelf, and a copy of Maynooth Catecism, sewn into the cloth cover of the notebook, stood at one end of the top shelf. Writing materials were always on the desk. In the desk lay a manuscript translation of Hauptmann's Michael Kramer, the stage directions of which were written in purple ink, and a little sheaf of papers held together by a brass pin. In these sheets a sentence was inscribed from time to time, and, in an ironical moment, the headline of an advertisement for Bile Beans had been pasted on the first sheet. On lifting the lid of the desk, a faint fragrance escaped, the fragrance of new cedar wood pencils, or a bottle of gum, or an overripe apple might have been left there and forgotten. Mr. Duffy abhorred anything which betokened physical or mental disorder. A medieval doctor would have called him Saturnine. His face carried the entire tale of his years. It was the brown tint of Dublin streets. On his long and rather large head grew black hair, and a tawny moustache did not quite cover an unamiable mouth. His cheekbones also gave his face a harsh character, but there was no harshness in his eyes, which, looking at the world from under their tawny eyebrows, gave the impression of a man ever alert to greet a redeeming instinct in others, but often disappointed. He lived at a little distance from his body, regarding his own acts with doubtful side glances. He had an odd autobiographical habit, which led him to compose in his mind from time to time a short sentence about himself, containing a subject in the third person and a predictive in the past tense. He never gave alms to beggars, and worked firmly, carrying a stout hazel. He had been for many years a cashier of a private bank in Baggot Street. Every morning he came from Chapelizod by tram. At midday he went to Dan Burke's and took his lunch, a bottle of lager beer and a small trayful of arrowroot biscuits. At 4 o'clock he was set free. He dined in an eating-house in George's Street, where he felt himself safe from the society of Dublin's gilded youth, and where there was a certain plain honesty in the bill of fare. His evenings were spent either before his landlady's piano, or roaming out about the outskirts of the city. His liking for Mozart's music brought him sometimes to an opera or a concert. These were the only dissipations of his life. He had neither companions nor friends, church nor creed. He lived his spiritual life without any communion with others, visiting his relatives at Christmas and escorting them to the cemetery when they died. He performed these two social duties for old dignity's sake, but conceded nothing further for the conventions which regulate the civic life. He allowed himself to think that in certain circumstances he would rob his Hank, but, as these circumstances never arose, his life rolled out evenly, an adventureless tale. One evening he found himself sitting beside two ladies in the rotunda. The house, thinly peopled and silent, gave distressing prophecy of failure. The lady who sat next to him looked round at the deserted house once or twice, and then said, "What a pity there is a poor house tonight. It's so hard on people to have to sing to empty benches." He took the remark as an invitation to talk. He was surprised that she seemed so little awkward. While they talked, he tried to fix her permanently in his memory. When he learned that the young girl beside her was her daughter, he judged her to be a year or so younger than himself. Her face, which must have been very handsome, had remained intelligent. It was an oval face with strongly marked features. The eyes were very dark blue and steady. Their gaze began with a defiant note, but they was confused by what seemed a deliberate swoon of purple into the iris, revealing for an instant of temperament of great sensibility. The pupil reasserted itself quickly. Then this half-disclosed nature fell under the reign of prudence, and her astrakhan jacket, moulding a bosom of certain fullness, struck the note of defiance more definitely. He met her again a few weeks afterwards in a concert in Ersvold Terrace, and seized the moments when her daughter's attention was diverted to becoming intimate. She alluded once or twice to her husband, but the tone was not so much as to make the allusion a warning. Her name was Mrs. Sinico. Her husband's great-grandfather had come from Leghorn. Her husband was a captain of a mercantile boat, plying between Dublin and Holland, and they had one child. Meeting her third time by accident, he found courage to make an appointment. She came. This was the first of many meetings. They always met in the evening and chose the most quiet quarters for their works together. Mr. Duffy, however, had a distaste for underhand ways, and, finding they were compelled to meet stealthily, he forced her to ask him to her house. Captain Sinico encouraged his visits, thinking that his daughter's hand was in question. He dismissed his wife so sincerely from his gallery of pleasures, and that he did not suspect that anyone else would have taken interest in her. As the husband was often away and the daughter out giving music lessons, Mr. Duffy had many more opportunities of enjoying the lady's society. Neither he nor she had any such adventure before, and neither was conscious of any incongruity. Little by little he entangled his thoughts with hers. He lent her books, provided her with ideas, shared his intellectual life with her. She listened to it all. Sometimes, in return for his theories, she gave out some fact of her own life, which, with almost maternal solicitude, she urged him to let his nature open to the full. She became his confessor. He told her that for some time he had assisted at the meetings of an Irish Socialist party, where he felt himself a unique figure amidst the score of sober workmen in a garret lit by an inefficient oil lamp. When the party had divided into 3 sections, each under its own leader and in its own garret, he had discontinued his attendances. The workmen's discussions, he said, were too timorous. The interest they took in the question of wages was inordinate. He felt that they were hard-featured realists, and that they had resented an exactitude which was the produce of leisure not within their reach. No social revolution, he told her, would be likely to strike Dublin for centuries. She asked him why he did not write out his thoughts. For what? He asked her, with careful scorn. To compete with phrasemongers, incapable of thinking consecutively for 60 seconds, to submit himself to the criticisms of an obtuse middle class, which entrusted its morality to policemen and its fine arts to impresarios. He went often to a little cottage outside Dublin, often where they spent their evenings alone. Little by little, as their thoughts entangled, they spoke of subjects less remote. Her companionship was like a warm soil about an exotic. Many times she allowed the dark light to fall upon them, refraining from lighting the lamp. The dark, discreet room, their isolation, the music that still vibrated in their ears, united them. This union exalted him, wore away the rough edges of his character, emotionalized his mental life. Sometimes he caught himself listening to the sound of his own voice. He thought that in her eyes he would ascend to an angelical stature, and as he attached the fervent nature of his own companion more and more closely to him, he heard the strange impersonal voice which he recognized as his own, insisting on the soul's incurable loneliness. We cannot give ourselves, it said. We are our own. The end of these discourses was that one night, during which she had shown up every sign of unusual excitement, Mr. Cynical caught up his hand passionately and pressed it to her cheek. Mr. Duffy was very much surprised. Her interpretation of his words disillusioned him. He did not visit her for a week. Then he wrote to her asking her to meet him again. As he did not wish that their last interview to be troubled by the influence of their ruined confessional, they met in a little cake shop near Parkgate. It was cold autumn weather, but in spite of the cold they wandered up and down the roads of the park for nearly 3 hours. They agreed to break off their intercourse. Every bound, he said, is a bound to sorrow. Then they came out of the park. They walked in the silence towards the tram. And here she began to tremble so violently that, feeling another collapse on her part, he bade her good-bye, quickly, and left her. A few days later he received a parcel containing his books and his music, and some music. 4 years passed. Mr. Duffy returned to his even way of life. His room still bore witness to the orderliness of his mind. Some new pieces of music encumbered the music stand, and in the lower room, on his shelves, stood 2 volumes of Nietzsche, Thus Spake Zarathustra, and The Gay Science. He wrote seldom in the sheaf of papers which lay on his desk. One of his sentences, written 2 months after his last interview with Mrs. Sinico, wrote, "Love between man and man is impossible because there must not be sexual intercourse, and friendship between man and woman is impossible because there must be sexual intercourse." He kept away from the concerts lest he should meet her. His father died, the junior partner of the bank retired. And still every morning he went back to the city by tram, and every morning walked home from the city after having dined moderately in George's Street, and read the evening paper for dessert. One evening, as he was about to put a morsel of corned beef and cabbage into his mouth, his hand stopped. His eyes fixed themselves on a paragraph in the evening paper, which he had propped against the water carafe. He replaced the morsel of food on his plate and read the paragraph attentively. Then he drank a glass of water, pushed his plate to one side, doubled the paper down before him between his elbows, and read the paragraph over and over again. The cabbage began to deposit a cold white grease on his plate. The girl came over to him and to ask, was his dinner not properly cooked? He said it was very good, and he ate a few mouthfuls of it with difficulty. Then he paid his bill and went out. He walked along quite quickly through the November twilight, his stout hazel stick striking the ground regularly, the fringe of the buff mail peeping out of his side pocket of his tight reefer overcoat. On the lonely road which leads from the park gate to Chaplazod, he slackened his pace. His stick struck the ground with less emphatically than, and his breath issuing. Sorry, I lost myself. Issuing irregularly, almost with a sighing sound, condensed in the wintry air. When he reached his house, he went up at once to his bedroom and, taking the paper from his pocket, read the paragraph again by the failing light of the window. He read it not aloud, but moving his lips as a priest does when he reads prayers, secreto. This was the paragraph. Death of a lady at Sydney Parade. A painful case. Alright, that was A Painful Case by James Joyce. Not a particularly cheery book, that one. But it does demonstrate Joyce's tendency to make these ordinary characters much greater than they are. I do have to go offline now, but thank you everyone who stuck with us to enjoy the reading. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you miss a stream, you can watch it on YouTube, and do also check out my Instagram. I post poetry there. Thanks for watching, and I won't be live tomorrow, but I will come on Tuesday, and I think I'm going to do some Minecraft for the first time. I'm going to be playing some Minecraft, but I will also include writing in that. So if you want to see how I can put Minecraft and writing together, please come. We're going to have fun. Alright guys, thank you. Thanks Sunrise.